that what she does and what you guys ultimately do is have those great photos, and the home staging aspect really is the precursor to that process. I'm not doing a formalized presentation today because there's so many really great tools on my website. I just wanted you guys to know where they are. Regardless of you hire us or not, you can use these tools, you know, for every single listing. So I want to make sure that you know where they are and that they're always available to you. And we'll go through those in a minute, but one of the biggest ways to get, first of all, I'm going to clarify what home staging is. Let's talk about that first, because everybody thinks that staging is interior design. And it's actually the opposite, because staging is a less is more approach to design. It's actually a decluttering, depersonalizing. Just like Brent said, we're removing all of the personal photographs. We are editing big chunky pieces of furniture. Because people, when people live in a house, they kind of nest. They fill it up with all their treasures and their life and their beautiful photos of their family and their vacations. And before you know it, you can't even see the walls anymore, right? So what we want to do is make sure that people can see the square footage of the home. We want to make sure that they don't miss the great view of the home, the interesting architecture and crown molding. We want them to go into that house and see all that that house has to offer. And if it's full of stuff, they're never ever going to be able to see that. So it is not design, and it's very important for you, because people will tell me all the time, well, I don't need a stager because it's designed. I had a professional interior designer. It's like, well, that's great, but that's not staging. And it's okay to say that to people because they don't know the difference. And so you have to give them a little bit of education about, we love your stuff and your collections, and even when Donna and I are in houses and the other stagers that work for me, we really honor people like, oh my God, this is such a great collection. Now put it away. You know, and we'll say things that are kind, like, you know what, you might want to put this away for safekeep. You know, or, you know what, do you really want people to know your family this intimately? Let's like pack up all the photos. So there are a lot of ways to gingerly get the message across, huh?
I'm less tactful.
Well, I know, but
I'm less tactful.
But you have to get there fast. You can't like hold people's hands for 3 months to get their house ready. So sometimes you just have to call it what it is. Like last week I met a client, and it's a person that the realtor actually paid for our consultation, and the house had been on the market for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh.
And it's on a lake. It's a gorgeous home. And she said, darling, I just don't know what to do. I got to get them off the fence. We got to do something different. And this was a new agent, because you know how the third and fourth realtor is always a hero, right? Mm-hmm. It's because they didn't listen to the first one, you know. But now they've heard the story 4 times, so now they're finally ready to do something. But it occurred to me as I was in this house, I said, well, you can't just do the same thing you've done the last 4 years if you're really serious about selling this property. So we start talking about the house, and I look at the decor elements. The exterior of the house, you walk in, was very cool. It has like this stainless steel awning and this really cool glass stuff going on. Very, very modern. You get very, very high style. But it wasn't a cold kind of modern, you know, because it was brick. It wasn't like that white stucco or dry-bit, I think is what they call it here. And then you walk in, and it's like grandma lives here.
Was this West Bloomfield?
Yes.
How did I call it? How did I know?
But they bought this because of the architecture and the lake, and they had this really amazing deck that has the glass railings and the stainless steel, and the white lacquer kitchen. Everything architecturally in this house was built contemporary, and they have this very grandma, like, you know, lazy boy furniture. It's like, it was just awful. And I get it, you know, you're living in your house, you want to be comfortable. That sofa's probably really comfortable, I get it. So I just said, okay, here's the deal. I said, this is going to sound very harsh. I said, but your house is kind of schizophrenic. And she looked at me like, I said, I don't mean it to sound harsh, but the reality is you have 2 different personalities going on here. The architecture is going to draw in the people who really like contemporary, and then they're going to walk in the door and say, am I even in the same house? Because now we have all of this traditional stuff on the inside. Conversely, the people who like traditional are going to look at the photos and think, oh, I like, you know, whatever, although there wasn't even much to say they like about that. But it doesn't, they don't speak to each other. If your architectural style from the outside is not somewhat related to the inside, it's just gonna be a buzzkill when people walk in. It's like reading a movie review or a book review and then it's like, what were they thinking? You know, it was nothing like that. So we have to have some kind of cohesive experience from when they see the pictures online, from what they see as they drive up the driveway, and then when they walk to the inside of the house, those things need to be related to each other. And in this particular house, so what was interesting is the realtor really thought if I could just get them to do like a little bit, it was gonna be a lot better. They worked all weekend on getting rid of all of that traditional stuff. And initially, she was just like, I still have to live here, and I still have to like it. I'm like, well, you really don't. I said, it really comes down to how serious are you about selling? And sometimes you have to be that direct. Because if you're not gonna be that direct and you're just gonna dance around the pond, they're never gonna, you know, you're never gonna get anywhere.
One sentence I use a lot is, do you want fair market value for your house? Do you want what the going rate is for your house? Or do you want the most money you possibly ever get for this house?
Well, the other thing is,
and if they want, and they're always gonna pick the more.
well, of course.
If they give them more, then you gotta do something.
The other thing is you gotta tell people, okay, well, do you want more of the same? Then you continue to use the same strategy. If you want a different result, then you try a new strategy. So there are lots of little ways to get them on board with a new approach, especially if you're like the second or third realtor. It's really easy for you to go in and look like a hero when you just are very direct. What do you have to lose? Because the reality is, if you're not really direct with what they need, you're gonna get the same result that the last realtor got. And you don't want, I mean, and none of us work for free. I try not to. Not usually. So anyway, so that's very, very important to understand.
Mouse.
It's like a attic.
There you go.
Yeah, went to sleep.
So anyway, so the point of the matter is, staging is not design, and it's really important to educate your sellers on the difference of those two things. We'll go through a few things here online to show you some of our menus and services and some of the ways that we help people. But one of the things I want to make sure we talk about, and you guys all need to write this down. This is very, very important if you're not aware of this. Online, there's an organization called HomeGain, HomeGain. And I just print off this one big page, but you guys should have all of this in your listing presentations. It is basically the return on investment for every single thing that they should be doing. Our opinion as stagers, and what my position is as the owner of this company, is I don't want to just go in and tell people the staging direction, which is really the art, the furniture placement, the decor, you know, design kind of details in a home. But I also talk about and help bridge that repair and update portion of the equation as well. Because that's really where the sweet spot is when you handle all of it. Because it's one leg of the stool. All of these things are going to have effect on the ultimate sales price of a house. So they can still choose to not do anything about the updates and repairs, just kind of like that 1970s ratchet. Sometimes people have no choice. I mean, there might not be any funds to do an update. And quite honestly, they would make a lot more money if they put a little bit into it and whatever. But sometimes houses just can't. We've had houses that are so tired, and Donna, do you remember that little one that we did in Plymouth, that really tacky house with the knotty pine dining room?
Yes.
Was it like the most awful house you've ever seen?
It was kind of tragic. Yep.
And it had like hardwood floors that were really trash. It had like a tile floor that was on top of the hardwood, and then it had really ugly carpet and two different kinds of carpet in 2 rooms, and then the kitchen had something horrible going on too. I mean, it was just awful. And we had a minuscule budget. It was a little old lady that, you know, was she was going to live with a family member. I mean, she didn't have money for a nursing home or anything like that, so they needed every penny out of this house. And I think they gave us a total of $2,000 budget, and this house was sad. And quite honestly, the staging for that house was probably $1,500. But they did some very minor things. We did some paint touch-up in a couple bedrooms. We ripped out all the old carpet. Even though we didn't have much budget to refinish things, We got rid of as much ugly as possible. Just getting rid of it and not replacing it, like added like instantaneous value. And then we brought in cool like groovy rugs, and we went our budget package furniture, which is like a slipcover sofa, you know, bright festive pillows, and you know, some decent artwork and stuff, and a couple plants and this and that. And then that house had like 3 offers in one weekend. And what was so cool about it is the people who ended up buying the house, we got to meet when we were picking up the inventory. And they said, we would have never ever bought this house had it not been staged, because what you did was you allowed us to see the potential this house had to offer. Because we know none of this stuff is stayed on it, but we could see how cute it could be. And without that, there would have been no possibility for anybody to see it. So that's what staging does, is it bridges from what is so to what is possible, even in a house that's not updated. But the real magic happens when everything is, I call it a 3-legged stool. There's a realtor who has the marketing strategy and that exposure to the MLS and all the other websites that you guys use to market. And picking the right realtor, that's like one leg of the equation. The updates and repairs are a second leg, and then how is it presented on, you know, via staging, and how does it present in the photographs? Without all 3 of those things working together, you're going to have a hard time selling that house. But anyway, you should have this return on investment worksheet for you in your presentations, and it's home game. And for example, on this particular survey, and they haven't published the new ones yet, they're always, probably in the next month or 2, they'll have the 2014 results. So these are 13. But the staging average return on investment was 4,597%.
Percent.
Percent. So, and they're saying that the average investment increase in selling price was $3,000 to $4,000. Now, we can talk all day about how are they collecting this particular data, but what they do is they survey realtors across the country. So that's how they get to this data. So, you know, is some of it subjective? Probably. But I do know that the houses that we stage sell very, very quickly. And the only reason why we offer a 3-month agreement on our staging package is because, you know, deals fall apart. You know, they don't appraise, or they have a problem with an inspection, or people wig out, you know, whatever the reason is. We want our sellers to have enough cushion on that agreement that if they do have to turn around and remarket it, they don't have to pay us an extra reoccurring rental. So it's not like they're really, you know, we call it 2 months and you get the 3rd month for free. That's what we do.
Well, also with appraisals, it's something to consider that appraiser still needs
Yes.
Yes.
an effect
Yes.
coming
Yes.
into the house.
Yeah, and it's very-
There's
it's very
value in that, especially when we're coming out of a
Well, because
housing crisis.
they're all human. I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
human, and you gotta have the human experience. And they also don't look so much for problems.
Yeah.
You know, when it's you know, there
They're
are things
distracted.
you're distracted from little things that may not be perfect. When you have an empty house and you have Berber carpet, you're gonna find every thread that's wrong, and you're gonna ask for a $5,000 carpet credit. They may not even see it.
But that even goes with inspections as well.
Exactly.
The buyer doesn't inspect, the inspector has feelings.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
so it's the whole visit to the house.
So the clean and declutter part of this equation, which is actually a big part of what we do as stagers as well, because in occupying homes, we will go on and just kind of, I call it the big scoop. You know, and then on the website, we also offer a service, is what I call a SWAT team, a staging SWAT team. So depending on how bad or, you know, how much work there is, you can kind of get an idea of what our services will cost people, because we actually are the only company that will put our pricing online. So nobody has to be afraid about what we're offering. The reality is what we can do in a day or even 3 days, they can't do in 3 months. They just can't. And it's not gonna ever be done to the level that we can do it. It just won't. 'Cause
So
if
what do
they
you
ha-
do with their stuff? Are you just putting into tubs?
Well, we
temporarily,
always
or-
try to find a place on site, because we wanna save them the money of the off-site storage situation. The one that we work with Corinne on, we actually went to a storage facility, and we had trucks that we transported for them. And we actually have a box truck of our own now, so we do that kind of stuff all the time. But it's our first choice, is just to, you know, clean out a little corner. Because you can pack a lot of stuff in a corner if it's in boxes ready for moving. not like if it's in 12 different kinds of bins that are different sizes and half of them don't have lids kind of packing. Right? You know what I'm talking about. We buy the boxes, so there's 2 or 3 different sizes, and we stack them like like it's a building block. You have them all labeled, so in the event somebody really does need to find something, we know this is office stuff. We know this was personal photo stuff, or the idea. And that's, you also get to see how serious are people about selling. Because if they're not willing to pack up their stuff, are they really willing to sell? Are they committed or not? So the red flag should be going off in your mind. If they're not willing to go through some of these things, which we believe to be inconvenient, then are they clients you're really going to be prepared to spend and invest your personal time in? It's it's a listing, but what's the point if you can't get it sold?
That's working for free.
Exactly. You never want to work for free. So sometimes you have to have a really heart-to-heart. We had a house that we worked on a few weeks ago in Macomb, and it was a house that had been on the market for 3 or 4 months, and the people bought a condo because they want to downsize. They don't want the yard thing anymore. And the realtor brought us in because the deal is contingent that they sell their house. Well, now they have 3 or 4 more weeks to figure out whether or not this is all going to come together, and all the showing feedback had been horrible. Well, we walked in, no mystery why it had been horrible. And so we were there for 3 days, 2.5 really, because that 3rd day you guys were there, but you weren't even there a full day, it was just the 2 of you. We took we took a full truckload to charity. When you walked in the basement originally, and it was a huge house, I mean it wasn't a huge house, but the basement was huge. And you couldn't even see how big the basement was because she had the whole perimeter of the room wrapped with like little groupings of crap. Down the center was this giant pile of more crap. And I'm like, okay, well if you have children, this is like a really important space. This is like where you hang out in the wintertime with your tricycles and all of that stuff. I mean, people use their basements in Michigan. So she agreed that we needed to do something with that, and by doing that, we also created a place and a space for some of the things upstairs so that we could get them ready for moving day. And so we rearranged all the furniture in our entire house. We packed up about half of everything that she owned. Okay.
Debbie?
Debbie's the. Where is the internet?
I think it's
The
phone on the bottom.
Go keep going.
On your
Go
right.
the other way.
I don't. There. Thank you. There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay. So anyway, the point was, we went in there, did this massive thing, and it ended up costing, I think, for the 2.5 days, it was about $1,900 is what the staging fee was for that. We had 2 or 3 people the first day, we had 5 or 6 the second day, and then the last day I sent back 2 more. And then we also hauled off all of that charity crap and gave them their charity receipt for it. On Thursday, somebody came back for a second showing that had seen it on the weekend because it was the only house that was really in that subdivision. They really wanted that subdivision. And the realtor was telling me that, relaying the story to me, they didn't like the house. They felt like it really felt small and stuff. They said, well, let's just go take another look at it because it's the only one available. And they just couldn't even remember anything like about it. There was just so much crap. They walked in and she said they literally, the buyer's agent and the homeowners that were previewing the house, literally like, there's just no way this is the same house we saw 3 days ago. They did all of that in 3 days. They ended up writing a full price offer. So, and it was very uncomfortable for her. She was actually really good for the first 2 days. The 3rd day she kind of lost her head. Because then she was realizing it didn't feel like her home anymore. It's like, well, then I had to remind her, well, it's not. It's a house that you're trying to sell and you guys are serious. You already bought a new house. But then when it sold, she was fine. It's all good. So anyway, this sheet is really a great way to, you know, give them some education about what the return on investment is, and lighten and brighten and plumbing and electrical problems to your yard, which is going to be curb appeal, paint on the interior, paint, you know, kitchens and baths, all of those things.
That's homegang.com?
Homegang.com. Now here's another really critical one that you guys should all have. There's a survey or a profile of home staging that the National Association of Home Realtors put out. So this is your own organization. You guys should all have this. Their findings are a little bit confusing in how they worded it, because I'm like a bullet point girl. So I kind of went through and kind of summarized some of the things.
Where is that at? Or you
This is the National Association of Realtors, so just go to their site. Darn.
Search box.
If you put in,
Pass out that sheet.
right.
You're not gonna make a copy of it?
Well, they can link to it. I mean, it's a big pack, so
Oh, okay.
I just brought it so that people could look at it, know that it was available to them. But this is really another really critical component to educating your sellers about why is the trend, because there's a lot of people who have never ever used home staging before. You know, I've sold 10 houses, I've never staged them. Well, they may have staged them to some degree and just not even know what staging is, because that's just how they live. They might just be people who live tidier, more minimalist, or whatever. But for example, one of the things that the realtors that represent the buyers indicated that 96% are affected at least somewhat if the house is staged. So the breakdown was, for some buyers, but not always, was 47, and yes, for more buyers was 49%. So the somewhat to almost everybody was 96%. So that's almost 100% people agree that it had some effect on them when they walked in the house. I've had people walk into houses that do not meet any of their criteria and try to figure out how they can make it work, because it shows so well. I had a house that we did one time in Farmington Hills that did not have a basement, and it had like 3 bedrooms, they needed 4. You know, all of these criteria, because they just drove up because it was an open house, and we actually hosted the open house for the realtor because that was in our early years and we had time to do those kind of things. We're just looking for marketing exposure for our staging business. And our people stayed in that house for an hour at an open house. When does that happen? They would not leave. That's good if you're trying to sell a house, right? So that's a really cool statistic. The other one that was in this report, and there's a whole bunch of stats. The one that said, this kind of talks to the repairs and update portion, and I believe staging and updates and repairs are kind of one topic, because I don't know how you can stage it without taking care of updates and repairs. I feel like the two topics are kind of intermingled. 44% realtors recommend that they declutter, fix property faults. Well, decluttering is a big part of staging, and fixing property faults is a big part of staging. Also, the home staging distracts from those things as well, even if you don't fix them. So then the other percentage that was cool was 34% said yes, all homes that they would recommend all homes that they would stage. If you look at this survey, probably 3 years ago, these percentages were probably half of that. And I bet you if you look at 2 years forward, this is probably going to be about 60%, because that's the direction that the industry is going. It's just that people are getting more and more educated about this topic. And if you can bring that to the table, then you have a renewed and higher level of expertise in the next people that are coming in. Because you want to say, why would they hire you over another realtor? Because everybody's interviewing 2 or 3 realtors before they pick an agent right now. So how do you set yourself apart? So it's important for you to be knowledgeable about these things. So it was right here, out of everybody here, there was only 5% that said that no, that they do not stage any houses. So 95% of the realtors are suggesting some form of this. Whether it's the declutter, the fix and update, the only in high home, only in difficult to sell houses, and yes, all homes. So all of that, that's 95%. That's why I've always said every single house should be staged. every house has some degree of staging that is good. All right, so all of that, you guys can study all of these things, and if you add up the percentages, you get to the more dramatic ultimate result. The other thing that is a really cool statistic is, I'm a member of StageHomes.com, and I have my training, my ASP training through Stage Homes. So I pulled up their this is a good thing to put in your package as well. 95% of stage homes sell in 11 days or less, and they're saying 17% more. I don't know how they come up with that number. Even for me, that's a pretty big number. But they do get a lot of California agents in the survey, because there's a high concentration of ASPs in California, because that's where the company was founded. And when you have oceanfront property, whatever, then you have that. I tell people 3 to 7%, because I want to be on the more conservative side. And even at 3 to 7% is well worth your investment. And our houses sell equally as fast as the ones that we're working on. So, a couple of cool things on our website. This request, I'm going to sit down for a minute because it'll be a little bit easier for me to navigate at this level.
Do you want me to turn off the light?
Yeah, sure, that would be great. So this is a really cool button here. This is a request a quote button. So if you have a occupied or vacant house, you can actually go into our website now and give us some of the particulars about that house, and then I will have somebody call you back like within 24 hours and give you a quote for staging. We will usually call you and just kind of confirm some particulars. If it's a vacant house, we usually can just send you a price, because we bundle things to make it pretty easy. And then if you have a vacant house that's staged, this is how people notify us that we're ready to pick it up. This is the quiz I was telling you about. Okay. I'm used to having a bar on the side how to scroll.
Just push 2 fingers up in the middle. That's a mouse.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Now I'm good. So the impact quiz is really, this is a great tool for when people are, and it's under the More button, so that's what you need to know. The quiz is really great when you have a really stubborn person who thinks that their house doesn't need anything.
I never run into that.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So for example, like when you're talking about the kitchen, it says, is your kitchen 20 years old or greater? It doesn't say, do you have a nice kitchen?
Just says the middle.
All right? Because they may think their 20-year-old kitchen is fabulous.
Yeah, he does.
I'm just telling you, it's not so fabulous. So, so it's questions like that. Then we talk about architectural styles as a question. What is the curb appeal of the house? What are your paint colors neutral? Is it staged? Is it professionally staged? Kitchens and bathrooms are weighed really heavy in the equation, as well as curb appeal, because you can't sell it if you can't get them in the front door. How many times have you driven up to a house and they said keep driving?
Yeah.
And then if the kitchen and the baths are not presentable, people think big dollars for rehab, and they're just not into that. So you're only going to have a chance of selling a house like that unless you're going to have an investor or somebody like that want to buy it. So what is cool is, for example, you answer these questions and they pick the answer that is best reflective in the answer that matches their house, and then there's a score at the end. Not a numerical score, but there's a response. So for example, the response would read something like, your house has a nice floor plan, but the dated elements are going to require more time on market and most likely lots of price reductions. So you may want to consider staging and updates to ensure that you get top dollar. So that's the response. It's not like your score is 75. So that's why I think the tool is so important. Here is another icon, and I don't know. Oh, here. So the quiz was down there. I see what it was. See, here was the quiz. So basically, it's just the answers are over here. Oops, what did I do? You have to have used to this touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So DIY staging tools, it's in here as well. This is where you would find the, well, it's not there, how come it's not? Is it 2 clicks or 1 pip? I'm just trying to get it, open up that one.
Just have to do a little harder.
Okay.
There you go.
So anyway, so these are the things that are kind of cool that you can put in your listing presentation. So there's the quiz that we just talked about a little bit, that's all the answers and you get the score. The top 10 staging tips, that's just free advice that you can give to your homeowners and similar to the checklist that she provided. And then staging myths are how you explain what staging is and what staging is not. Because people who have not staged a home really don't even know what it is. Now, if you really want to make your life easy, you just hire us to come out and do a consultation.
Right.
So, the other thing that we're going to offer today is, for everybody who's here today, you guys will all get a $25 off coupon in the mail, as long as we have your email address. We will send everybody a coupon to try a consultation thing.
Sweet.
How much is the consultation?
Consultation is $199.
That's for
But
an
that's
hour?
where we're, yeah, that's for up to 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Up to 2 hours, and sometimes even in a house that's really like nice, what we will often do is instead of just talking about things, we'll just jump in and kind of start tweaking things, you know, and then leave the extra stuff like in the foyer stuff, and then leave them with like tidying that up when we're gone. So it's easier sometimes to not talk about stuff, but to just jump in and do it. Obviously, in a 2-hour window, we're only going to have one person there. But if the homeowner's willing to just jump in and start doing stuff, we're willing to do that for that same amount of time. But we are committed that when we're there for those 2 hours to make sure that they leave with like their priority list, their project list, and that we redirect them at the end of our visit so that they are very, very focused on what they need to be doing next, because that's part of what we promised you as a realtor. If you are choosing to invest in this service as one of those listing bonuses, we have a lot of realtors who offer the consultation instead of a home warranty. Because it's about the same amount of money and it's gonna help you get better pictures. So what's more important? I mean, you can offer a home warranty at the end of it, I mean, and negotiate that at that point in time. You know, that's kind of like putting the cart in front of the horse, the home warranty at that point. Because who says I only want to look at the houses that have a home warranty? Is that even a criteria on the MLS? So why would you pay for that up front? I mean, I would
It is
totally.
a criteria whether it's offered or not.
Right, right. So, you know, I mean, everything's negotiable, right?
Right, everything.
So I would, as a realtor, if I were a realtor, I would definitely look at investing in the staging up front, because the difference that that's going to make is you're going to, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I offer X, Y, and Z services. I have a professional photographer. We're going to do these beautiful glossy photos. Oh, and by the way, in order to make sure all of that is thoroughly effective, we're also going to have a stager come in here and help you with getting it ready. And I'm willing to pay and invest in your home, you know, to make sure that that happens appropriately. And when you do that, you all of a sudden look a lot different than everybody else that they're talking about, because they're not offering it. And quite honestly, it is still a minute amount of people in our market who are truly working with professional stagers. There's a lot of hobby stagers out there, and there's a lot of realtors who actually call themselves stagers. But I'm telling you what, if you're a realtor calling yourself a stager, that means you're just not selling enough real estate. Because we spend a lot of time. That's our expertise. And in order to be, I mean, we have over, I'm going to say about $200,000 worth of inventory now. And currently we have staged about 45 houses. And we will do probably about 250 this year. We won't do 250 vacants, but I bet you we do 150 vacants this year. Because we're staging one, like this week we have 3. We did 5 last week. Next week we have 4 already on the books. We're scheduling out for our vacants into the week of April 8th and beyond right now. We're ramping up. So I do ask for you to be a little bit patient, because we are super busy right now. We are experiencing some growth as well. So as the market has gotten better, people have really come to see the value of what we offer, and it seems like everybody wants it now. So, so anyway, one of the things that a lot of realtors do, also, especially if you're a new realtor and you want to offer this service, but maybe you're not feeling rich enough to like pony up front. Some of the realtors are offering something like, okay, I will reimburse you for that consultation when we close. So that's a good way for you to still say, you know, hey, I want to put some skin in the game. But what that also does is it also ensures that they do something with it.
And with you,
Exactly.
in order to get that money back.
Exactly, and they don't cancel the listing, so realtors love that recommendation. The other thing is when you have a really high dollar listing or even medium dollar listing, if you know there's not going to be any way you are going to sell this house unless it's staged, they'll even sometimes pick up half of the more extended services that we offer. Like we've had realtors who have actually picked up the pay for a charge for a vacant package in a super high-end home. We've had realtors fork out $4,000 for staging if they're going to get a $30,000 commission. Who wouldn't?
Right.
Who wouldn't? And you know what? If you have an $800,000 or $1 million listing, and you're the realtor that's saying, well, I'm going to have this percentage and this marketing tool and this ABC photographer, you know, this is how we're going to market this, and this is how. Oh, and by the way, I will also stage your house for you, you know. But I do have a separate agreement for that, and I pay for it at the end. And they're like, so I'm going to pay that percentage, but I'm going to get back, you know, $4,000 of extra service for that. And they say, well, I don't want this staging. You say, well, then we can, you know, but you're going to market yourself at the higher percentage too, because you're offering more. You don't have to negotiate down your rate if you're offering more. So it's really important when you're starting to project the value that you are going to offer as a realtor. So anyway, these tools are really important. Here's another very cool thing is, in our gallery here, tons of before and after pictures. So people have a vacant house, and they're saying, "Yeah, you know, it's nicely updated. I'm not staging it." So why don't you look at these houses, and then let's just take a look at it and see which one would you buy. Show them, go online, and see which house would you buy. A lot of these are the ones we've done in the last 2 weeks.
So that one go up that white kitchen, was that your furniture?
This is this is all our stuff.
Okay.
These
So
are
the
vacant
white,
homes.
The kitchen, that's a big,
Right.
that's a dramatic difference.
Yeah. And they had a big screen TV on that shelf when I first saw it.
Even the way, look at the windows, the blinds. They have
Just-
one all the way up. That's when you went to the house.
And that's back to like the photography things.
Yeah.
You have to look at when you look at through the lens of the camera for photographs, you pick up all the flaws. Yeah. So you have to make sure that things like that are taken care of. But a lot of our furniture is pretty new. We offer in our vacant packages, for example, we have a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum level. Platinum is going to be like the $1.5 million and up. I mean, that's a very customized, house-specific kind of plan. The big differences between bronze, silver, gold is a package starts with one living room, one dining space, one bedroom, and we always do the bathrooms, and we always do kitchen accessories, countertop items. So the bronze, being our cheapest package, is going to have the oldest of the furniture we carry. And it's probably going to be the smallest scale, and you're going to get less stuff in general. As you go silver, it's going to be kind of a mixture of some of the older stuff and some of the newer stuff, so that helps you stretch your budget. But yeah, get some really nice, you know, fresh updates in that assortment of staging. And I'll show you in the website, we label which is what, so people can kind of, because you don't know what you're going to get. We don't have a catalog that says, you know, this is what you're going to get, and we don't ever encourage home sellers to even pick. Yeah, when they say, well, can I pick? I just say no. You can ask, but I'll say no. Because I'm going to pick up inventory tomorrow for my house, and if it works in that house, we're using it in that house. I'm not going to go back and pick out the difference of because you like a gray sofa and don't want the cream one. That's not how we work.
So how long do you leave the furniture in the home?
3 months.
3 months, your furniture.
And then we tell them what the extension is if they need it up front. It's in the agreement that we write.
Okay.
so that they know what the extension would be. If that only happens, I'm gonna say 5% of the time tops, and then usually the only houses that we ever extend, to tell you the truth, that are vacant, are the ones where the people are crazy. Like, they didn't mark at the right price to begin, really crappy construction, or it's a really wonky floor plan and they think the staging's gonna fix it. Now, granted, the staging makes it understandable, and they're gonna have a much higher opportunity to sell it, because now you can make this weird floor plan actually make sense. Because without furniture, you don't have a chance in hell. But once you stage it, you have, right? Am I, huh? You know what I'm talking about.
Well, your photos speak for themselves.
So in this room here, like for example, this one right here, the one on the top, that one, the room was kind of a weird shape. I mean, corner fireplaces are always weird, but then you have also that bay window kind of niche area.
Point, yeah.
So, you know, and it's a great room. So there's a dining space there and a snack bar, all kinds of stuff going on there.
Looks good.
And then this house is a little vintage house, not so little vintage house in Royal Oak, but it's on a busy street. And without staging, people were like, what is that? And the guy had started to rehab it, but he just never got there. I mean, he ended up having to move for some emergency reason. This one with the chevron chairs, that's basically a budget package. So that's really great for any house that's under $150,000. And that just has a love seat because it was a really small area. We have a matching component, bigger version of that. But the point is we can even make our slipcover sofas look good. It's the art and the accessories and what else you bring into the space. And if somebody's got such a tight budget, we can still make it look fabulous, you know, versus empty. And we had really designed that budget package for a lot of those older Ferndale and Royal Oak houses, because that's really where they work the best.
So that love seat's a slip cover?
Yeah. But we use a stretch and fit one, so they're not like that shabby chic. Did I say that out loud? So that's my budget, a bigger version or a similar version of a budget, a bronze package there. But that's like, look how great that looks.
And it covers up the fact that the wall's not smooth.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, you're right. Yeah, isn't it a better house? Yeah, because look at the before.
It's very obvious.
Look at it, yeah, I mean, you're gonna go and say, what's wrong with the plaster?
Yeah.
But when you have furniture and decor in it, you do not notice those little details. This was a new construction house. What was the price point on that one, Donna? Do you remember?
This one is $6.99.
In Birmingham. But it was really weird because you can see in the before where the pink paper is, that's a hallway. Because the one goes to the kitchen, the one goes to the great room, and then the other one is right in front of a bay window, which is not in the same location or mirroring the location of the fireplace. So the bay window is kind of wonky and to the side. So you can't even put furniture in that bay window. So this is the only way the furniture could be set up in this room, and without staging, they would not, they're gonna have a very hard time selling that.
That's one of the rooms where a potential buyer walks in and thinks this is a wasted room, I could never use this for anything.
Right.
And look, we got a lot of furniture in there. We have like an 8x10 carpet, big coffee table, 2 armchairs. I mean, if we're a family home, this is like where the grown-ups all sit and have a couple cocktails and the kids are in the great room, you know, being crazy. This was another little Royal Oak, this was a little ranch. It had 3 tiny bedrooms. But we gave it a little bit of an urban flair, a little bit of a younger feeling. And like, you know, that angled sofa, every once in a while you just have a room that needs an angle. We're not big on angles, but every once in a while you need it to make it look interesting.
So that photo there, let's see.
But see how dark that is. For a photograph for the MLS, that would be totally unacceptable. Because it's too dark. Because we just take them when we're done and we don't care if it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You know, she was talking about the lighting. I mean, look at the difference. Those are 2 different times. The way the sun is on the floor, as opposed to it's more or less on that wall over there. So that means a lot.
Yeah, and then this was a really wonky house. It had a step down to where that fireplace area is, and this was one of our newer stagers did the price quote on this one, and it was gonna be, and then there was a weird loft space also that was, like, had no defined purpose, so we actually put a love seat in the loft, so we made it feel like a library, you know, so we put a desk and a love seat, and so we try to create a purpose for that, because anytime you have a space in a house, it's like, okay, what do you use this for? Like, you can't have people think that hard. I'm just saying, if they have to think that hard, you're gonna really have a hard time selling it. So anytime you have a house like that, that has some kind of, either you gotta give them a device, is, okay, you have to say just about as a bedroom, people need to envision that, or it needs to be a play space, or maybe it needs to be an exercise room. You know, we have done things as simple as bringing in a couple of yoga mats and a couple of exercise balls and put a couple of exercise magazines on the floor and just create an exercise vignette so that people can say, this is where we exercise. Because there might not be any other purpose for that spot. Or if you have a little tiny bookcase and then one chair, it's like a mini library. You know, you can see the kids, you know, maybe put a little desk there where you can turn it into a homework corner or something like that. But whenever you have a space, a lot of these newer construction homes have those loft spaces at the top of the stairs that are really open.
Yeah.
What do you, that square footage is just a waste unless you create a defined purpose. Who wants all of that, you know, like 200 square feet for nothing? You have to have a use for that. And if you don't stage it, you don't get any value in it. Nobody's going to pay that for it. But once you can create the picture for them, you can't make people think that hard. So look at this, and please, if you guys ever give people white paint colors, I'm going to shoot you. No, white is not your friend or paint color. It's just not. If you're going to paint a house, it should be warm. It should be inviting. It should still be neutral, but it doesn't have to be white. And we can give you, you call us, we will give you a paint color over the phone if we have to. If you're not going to hire ourselves, we'll give you a paint color. Or you can read our blogs, because a lot of times we have those kind of tips in our blogs. Again, that was this little Royal Oak one on Gardenia. Was a rehab. It was an older house rehab, so it has the original fireplace. That's a pretty busy road. This one on Maryland had been on the market for how long, Donna?
6 months.
6 months.
Yep.
We staged it and they had 3 offers like that after that first open house weekend.
Yep, she said after 3 days.
So did she try to remarket it after that? Like if she, because it's been on the market for such a time, so now what do? Do they pull it and then put it back on?
Well, if you can, a lot of times what they will do, if they know that the staging is gonna come in place, they'll pull it right away.
Okay.
Deactivate it, give it the week or whatever it takes for you guys to reset.
Conditionally withdraw it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
Conditionally.
See.
Yeah.
So and then they relaunched it and had another open house like that first weekend after we staged it. And it was like a very, very neat. This house was very unique because you can't see it in the picture, but there was a little teeny tiny dining nook. And then the kitchen was really small, but it was also like, people I don't think could envision that a table would actually fit there at all.
That was a huge part of the feedback that the agent was getting. You know, when you walk in, this is the living room. And 2 feet for your right was the dining room, and 2 feet after that was the kitchen. And no one could envision how do you actually live in a space like this.
And we brought a round table and 4 bigger chairs because you can't, sometimes you need bigger furniture for people to really understand that it's workable. Because if you put in like what I call Barbie furniture, it just looks like you're trying to trick them. Like, yeah, but when I bring real size chairs in, it's not gonna work. So we brought in like nice upholstered chairs and also I think we made, was that a glass table in that one?
No, that was a wood.
Yeah, so it was just a
But we
regular
moved
round table.
we moved the chandelier, we
Right, we
swagged it
swagged
over
the
like that.
chandelier so it was more to the side, because they also had the light fixture in the middle of the space, so there was no way to walk around the table. So there were, in the hall right there was a hall to the other 2 bedrooms, and then there was also the doorway to go upstairs. So the table was kind of put in a position where you couldn't get to those other doorways. So we kind of moved it over and swagged it. And I know Donna was like, really? You want me to move that swag? She had to go 3 times to move that hook in that ceiling. But it was worth it.
It worked.
Every once in a while I'm right. And then sometimes I'm not. So this house, you know, red fireplace, you know, this is where you just, you know, celebrate it.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Looks good afterwards.
But it looked awful before.
Yeah, it does look so good.
But when you bring in the other furniture, it really warms it up. We typically, like with houses with hardwood floors, in our package, we include one rug is in the package, so we usually use that in the living room. If they want to pay for a second one, we can add one to the dining room, but typically we don't think they need it. We're not trying to push putting more stuff into houses that are not necessary.
This is Brenda Souther's house, the Brooks Lane.
Hmm?
The Brooks Lane was at Brenda,
Yes.
Lovedays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that house. It was pretty-
Yeah, we did the pre-construction design on that house too, so we picked out
Yeah,
stain
she said
colors
that.
and tile.
You did an
floor,
amazing job.
Yeah, it came together really
That was
nice.
one of the best rehabs I've seen in a long time.
She's amazing too, but yeah, you guys helped.
But see, look at this white, like, they painted that white house white. I'm like, if they
And the
had used
floor
like
is
a
white.
taupe paint.
And there was another house that had been on the market for a long time,
it's white.
but every single surface, I've never seen a house like this. Every single surface in the house was white. Every bathroom was white, every floor was white, the kitchen was white. There was zero color anywhere, so when we went to stage it, we had to infuse every place with some kind of personality. There's literally nothing
How do I
like
get
it.
back to my other homepage on my website? There. There we go. So now, lived-in houses, and I mean, you know, again, these are examples for you guys to use to explain the value. And even if they don't hire us, this is a great tool for.
Wow. That's like,
Let's show this house.
So, you know, I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, a lot of this is just repurposing the stuff that was already on site. You know, like we took those baskets and hung them on the wall and used them as art. You know, when you're in an occupied home, it is way harder than a vacant house for us because you really have to be creative on how to make their crap look good.
It's even harder when
Yeah, especially when their crap looks terrible to start with.
Then
Then what do you do? Oh, gosh.
You know, but we can make things look good, and that was outdoor furniture.
look at
Darla?
that, paint the paneling.
How do you handle the cleaning aspect of all this?
Well, we usually refer a cleaning company to come in because people just don't know what cleaning is.
And you have that done after you stage or
Yes.
before?
After. Because we're gonna kick up all the dust and move everything around, and we're gonna move things where things haven't been for years, and
Right.
typically, like, you know, we don't mind running a vacuum. You know, if we've made a mess with something, we never, our idea is to never leave a house worse than we found it. But we have usually, you need to have a professional service, and people, one thing that you have to prepare people for is that when you're cleaning to selling your house, it's not like your routine, just touch-up cleaning. This is deep cleaning, you know, get the white glove on top of the refrigerator, check the baseboards, the window seals, the glass on the windows, the light bulbs on the light fixtures, and the vanity light fixtures, and every nook and cranny has to feel clean. I mean, the grout around the tile, who can sell a bathroom and say it's updated when they got like who wants to take a shower and it's got their ew in it? You know, you can't do that. And that's actually one of the easiest things for people to do is to run a new bead of caulk. You know, so we refer them to somebody, but you know, quite honestly, they can hire whoever they want, but Molly Maids isn't the person to do that job. You know, it's usually good to talk within yourself and who is the person, and then also setting up with the cleaning people the appropriate expectations when you hire them, because most people don't know that's the kind of clean that you want. So they just do it how they do it normally, and you can't hardly blame the cleaning service because nobody explained to them like what level of clean you're looking for. Because they're going to say $150, but they're going to be out in 3 hours for $150. No, a deep cleaning service is probably going to cost $300 to $400, and it might take them 2 days.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be done right, that's how it's going to go. If they did it in 3 hours, they didn't do it right. This was, again, just rearranging furniture in a kid's room, and how do you make that work? I mean, you couldn't even see that cute little bed before.
Is that the same bed that
Yes.
just took the rail off or something?
And, well, yeah, we
Looks
took
like a
the rail,
larger bed to me.
we took the rail off and we rearranged it.
Totally.
You know, pulling back the curtains, you know, like in photos, how many times you let the curtains stay closed? You need to pull them back and let the sunshine in. It's huge. I love that pink one, that's my favorite. This was the house that we worked on where the people would come and look at this house and they stayed for hours at that open house.
What can we do with that room, right?
It's cute, but
Yeah.
it's not, it's.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, Victoria's Secret went wild.
Oh, that's not what you would think of.
No. And then this house, the one here with the railing, they had 2 little kids and stuff, and it was staged one weekend and they sold it. And then they moved all the furniture back because they had the furniture back so that the kids could play in that room. And then, and they had a big TV in there when we had it originally, but they had a little TV room, so they didn't need a TV room in that living room, so we made them pull it out. That was
Darla,
something.
in that pink bedroom, did you have it repainted or was that paint already there?
No, we repainted
Yeah,
it.
see this pink.
Yeah, it was that pink stripe.
Oh, it wasn't wallpaper.
I mean, you took the whole unit out, right?
Yeah, we took that whole thing out.
Yeah.
This house had 4 kids, 2 dogs, 2 hamsters, a fish tank, no basement, a camper in the garage. I mean, they were exploding.
How often do you get done staging and then people say, oh, we'd really rather stay?
Really? Not for how many houses we
You're not
do.
HDP
Like that
all the
show.
time, they're like, I don't wanna leave.
The
No,
cellar.
no, not, very, very seldom.
We do
Oh,
get
wow,
offers
there's a
on our
difference
furniture.
in that bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
Wow.
Holy crap.
So look at this zigzag wallpaper. Now this condo had 4 of these kind of bathrooms.
Wow.
There was wallpaper even on the ceilings, which you can't see in the picture. So even with just taking the wallpaper down, leaving the dated vanities, like you can live with this now.
Yes.
That wallpaper was on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Would make
And
me
it
sick
had,
to
and it had
Yeah.
really
like
lovely
dizzy or
shag-
something.
multiple shades of shag carpet throughout.
Ann Arbor.
It's
Ann Arbor?
So these are so this back to the house, like the bright pink bathroom. This was their storage room because they didn't have a basement, so they used their sunroom, like where they stored everything. The problem with the house was there was no dining room. No dining room. Really, most people have taken that long living room and used half of that as a dining space and a living space. But it really didn't work in this house because it wasn't very close to the kitchen. You had to go down like this little hall and it was carpeted. It was just kind of weird. So we elected to use the sunroom as the dining room because it had a heater and it, you know, and we actually had to have them update the windows because it had those aluminum, ugly exterior kind of porchy windows. So they put $1,000 in new windows there and we called it a dining room. I mean, you can see, we didn't do fancy windows. We just did what was cheap. That was a little ranch somewhere in Ann Arbor or somewhere, I can't remember. See, this is all just using all their stuff. This particular one, we brought in an accessory package. So the wood chair was ours, the tables, the lamps, the trees, the art.
So what did that cost?
We won't do that kind of thing for less than $999. So usually when we're doing that, we're usually doing other things in the house as well. Because quite honestly, we're not, you know, it doesn't make any sense for me to send a team out in a truck and all of that unless there's room for us to make some money on it. So we've just come to and it's some blend of things. So sometimes if it's less stuff, I might give them a longer time frame on it. Or if they need more key pieces, then I'll give them a 3-month term. So I just kind of work out something custom. Those are very unique situations. But I will do those, but it has to make sense for us to do that. And every single one of those. Like tomorrow I'm going to go look at that house. It's really contemporary because they've been working in all weekend and they just need a few pieces of art. So I will probably just give her a shopping list because she's too cheap to pay for me to come in and do my $999 minimum, even though she's got a $2 million house.
That's how she got it in the house.
Yeah, I know. And so, you know, so just little things like that, all white on white, just adding a little color really warmed that up. So these are really good pictures for you guys to use when you have an occupied house that might be a little bit dated or whatever, to just show, you know, the before and after of how that works. Let's see, the other thing that we do design for, you know, a lot of our design jobs come from people who have worked with us on our staging jobs. So we've made the house they're selling so great, and then they want us to come in when they buy their house that needs a little work. Then they hire us to come help them with designing their new kitchen or their new bathroom, and so we do that kind of work as well. We have a book of tradespeople that we recommend for painting, carpet cleaning. I tell you what, I have a carpet cleaner guy that will you will not have to throw away very much carpet anymore because he's so good at cleaning carpet. Those Hagopian people don't have anything on him. We worked on a few years ago, and the dogs had pulled up, you know what I mean, the threads from the Berber carpet. It's just like, what do you do with that? If you cut it, it looks bad. You can't leave the string because we're going to trip over it. He actually stayed there and like glued it like with super glue.
Each one down, loop.
Yeah, until he saved our home sellers about $5,000 in carpet allowance.
You could sew it down too.
Yeah, I don't know how he fixed it. I didn't watch
sewed
it.
down.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it, but I just know that, you know, they were pretty thrilled at the result. and it made a difference. As far as stats go, we are working right now on collecting an updated sheet for you guys, and we'll distribute. If you make sure we have your email information, we will send you a coupon for $25 off the consultation. And then on that same email, we will also give you $50 off of any other service. So if you had an occupied house that needed more than that, we would do that as well. For occupied houses, we always start with the consultation. We don't go out to any house for free, ever. So there's $199 to get us in the door. If they hire us to do more work, we will apply $100 of that consultation fee towards that next level of service, as long as it's $500 or more after that. So that way, your $200 investment really can be the equivalent of $300. You know, if they choose to take the project a little bit farther. So we try to make that as value added as possible. The vacant packages, if you ever want to see our pricing on that, you can actually order online. We have a shopping cart, so you can actually order a bronze package or a silver package. You can pay for it online with your credit card, and then we would just contact you to give you a date. And then we would send the agreement to whoever needs to be on that agreement form. So we've tried to automate, you know, quite honestly, not that many people are using that function yet. It's pretty new. In here is, let's see if that, did I tap that hard enough?
Makes them get used to it.
So here you go. So if you do an add to cart on that, for a bronze package, so it tells you the price, and then then it gives you the description. So you could see like what houses are appropriate for that, and how much could they. So if you just wanted to play with the shopping cart to figure out, okay, I know it has a big living room, it's a higher price home, and you know you wanted to kind of get a ballpark number. That's the best way to get a ballpark number. If they were going to hire us for a big package, we can usually talk through with the homeowners over the phone. Is it a big living room? Is it a big dining room? You know, we can give them a price 95% of the time over the phone, but then through dialogue we find out, yeah, it's a really unique layout though. I said, okay, well this is your price, and what we want to do next is we really probably want to come out and verify that we have the right package for you. And then if we see it also needs a foyer vignette, and maybe the room is so big we want a secondary seating area, and then we would try to add those items on. But we usually know that going into that, because you just say, is there a big foyer, and is there a place for a foyer table? Then we add that to the package right away. If you have, like there was one room where we did, it was enormous, so we had the main seating area, and we had to do a bigger than normal seating area. We usually do the sofa and 2 chairs, but we needed to add a 3rd one, just to kind of stretch it, because the space is so small, so huge. And then on the back side of it, there was another like 10 feet that had nothing. So we need, and we don't have big bookcases, so what we do is we do a secondary seating area and a table and some more art. And then in an opposite corner, we're going to do a big tree, you know, or maybe a little desk or something like that.
Now, does this include a pickup service?
Everything's one price. We make it easy.
Do you do, like, would you add, like, if there was a silver package, would you add a basement to it, or, because there's a...
Yes.
Like small basement. Right?
Yeah, we don't usually recommend the basement unless, sometimes in like those smaller row houses where that basement is really important for a family, And if there's place for, if it's hard to envision that a sofa, you could actually use that space as a functional space, then we would recommend to stage it. But typically on basements, we don't really encourage that because we don't really believe that they're necessary most of the time. If they're really ugly, you might want to stage it so they can give us some personality. If it's really small or a weird shape, then you may want to stage it. So it's helpful to see those in person so we can really discern that. But like I said, we're not about trying to sell a lot of extra furniture because with as many houses that we're doing, we need to stretch that out into as many houses as we can. So it doesn't really benefit us to bring a lot more stuff than what is needed.
So that $14.39, that would be including, so you add another $199 to that for the consultation fee, correct? Or would you?
We wouldn't, if it's a vacant house, there would be no consultation fee. We would just tell you what the price is.
Okay.
So the consultation fee is included in the $14.39?
No, you would only need, the vacant packages are for vacant houses, so there's no need to have a consultation.
Just for
This
vacant.
one is a
Okay.
vacant,
Right.
that's why they're looking
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah, this is a vacant house.
Gotcha, okay.
Would the $14.39 include painting?
No.
No.
It'll include artwork, but not paint for the walls. I mean, this is just staging. But if you have a bad paint job, staging is gonna be cheaper than painting.
You mentioned something earlier about doing $1 million home and doing something with the kitchen. Did you say something about putting like ceramic tile over the kitchen counters and that was gonna be temporary? Did I get that from you? Not ceramic.
Granite?
Yeah, granite tops. Are
You
those
know,
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay,
she
so
is.
they
I don't know I don't know where that came from.
I heard of something like that where you can get like you can put over existing counters.
Well, you can. There's
Granite.
a granite company. It's not temporary. It's actually and it's called Granite
Granite,
Transformation.
yeah, Granite
Transformations.
Yeah.
But it's actually just as expensive as it is to get the regular granite company to come out because they charge so much per foot. And they still have to laminate it because it's a very thin slab, so they still have to laminate the edges so that you don't see the fronts. And I have never used them because I found it just the same price or cheaper to just get a full slab.
My friend, neighbor, that's what they did with their kitchen. The granite
Well, and they love it because they're in and out in one day.
Yeah.
That's the
It's a
advantage
quick-
of it.
It can be a quick.
And it's not as heavy.
fix. And-
Right.
And I mean, it looks,
It's granite. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it looks good.
Veneer.
Yeah, it's a
it's not
veneer.
real.
Well, it is real granite. It's just that a normal slab is going to be about 3/4. A granite transformation
Yeah,
slab is going to be
really
much
short.
thinner.
Really small.
Okay.
But you know who else does it? There's what's the kitchen? Curtis Kitchens also sells slabs like that
That are
that are
thin.
really thin, but it's not intended to go on top of another slab. It's just it's a good budget option for an inexpensive house. And you have to use a special sink for that. You have to buy their stainless sink. It's kind of like a farmhouse style that wraps around the edge. It has the same profile as that granite. You have to buy the sink from them as well for that. And those are really great for the $150,000, $125,000 houses. We've done those before. But again, the cheapest color is like one and it's ugly. And then by the time you get to the color you want, you could have like a regular slab.
Okay.
So it just depends.
Especially if you don't have a lot of counter space to cover, you know.
Right.
You know.
So it's important to know, like when we do a consultation though, when we're in an occupied home and if we are recommending updates and repairs, like we will tell them things like, we always bring in our paint wheel, so we always give them paint colors, that's always included. If we tell them to update light fixtures, we're gonna say what finish family, so bronze or silver or, or whatever, chrome if it's a bathroom, if it's appropriate for that house. We will give them, usually we all carry smartphones, so we will usually pull up like the Home Depot or Lowe's app and say this is a type of fixture you need to be looking for. I'm not going to give them a specific SKU because I just need to make sure that they're on directionally in the right place because there's probably 2 or 3 choices. It depends on how much they want to spend. And it depends on whether or not it's in stock when they get to the store. Because, if it's not in stock, you just need to pick something else, move on. You know, pay $20 extra and, you know, because quite honestly, for me, to drive all over town to save $20 doesn't make any sense, and people sometimes forget about their time.
Yeah.
What about if you go to a property that is occupied and you do the consultation and the fee is the 200, then you decide, you go in and you decide, wow, this property needs a lot more. Will you, whatever the price point may be for the package, if it's $1,500, you pay the 200. When you say, okay, you already paid the 200, you take that away from that?
I take away 100.
100.
I credit 100.
Okay.
Because no matter what, I have to pay the stagers to do that consultation up
Okay.
front. I don't get that back.
Okay.
Right, Donna?
Right.
Donna doesn't give me my $100 back.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not going out for free.
I know. She's
Nice, Donna,
Yeah,
nice.
she doesn't go out for free. She's funny that way. We're in the process of also training other stagers. So right now, as far as consultations go, it's usually Donna and I, just because we're crazy. We'll work a lot of the times when other people won't. And, we're actually in the research process of bringing on at least 2 more stagers who can do consultations, because we're doing so many of them now. Plus, we're doing so many vacant houses. I mean, we're kind of, yeah, and we're really on fire. I mean, people are finally like getting with the program and understanding the value we offer, and the houses that we stage always sell fast.
Now, a lot of it is because agents talk to each other.
Yes.
You know, once they've had a success, it's you know, a success in one office really spreads.
So, you know, and then some of the top producers I know have more of a strategy about just pricing it and moving on. They don't do anything, it's all about price. You know, they might take good pictures, but it's all about price. You know, and they have a strategy of, okay, if in 2 weeks we don't have an offer, we're gonna take it down, da-da-da-da, until it sells. But you can sell houses that way, and quite successfully. You just have to know what you want to be a stand for. You want to be a stand for
And the most they can for.
you know, I mean, it's your fiduciary responsibility to get the most you can for a house. And if you're not explaining to them, coming from a place of knowledge on what all of their choices are up front, it's really difficult to go into a house, and this is a really important point. It's really difficult to go to a home seller after you've had it listed for 35 or 40 days and then say, you know what, you know, we should stage it now. Who looks bad?
Right.
Because they're going to say, how communicative.
Why didn't you tell us before?
You have to, you're going to be, and that's why,
Always offer.
Yeah, always offer, and that's why if they say, well, this is it's like, well, I told you we should have staged it, then it's kind of like CYA. You threw the option out there at them, and then they either chose or not. But a lot of times they just don't know what they don't know.
Well, not only that, but one of the biggest issues is that if the house has been on the market for a while and then you decide to go with a price reduction, you're never going to reduce the price by as little as what a staging would cost. If you had staged it to begin with, there's not going to be a need for a price reduction.
And it's just like the house in Birmingham that we staged after it was on the market for 6 months. She said, you know what, we're getting a lot of activity, so it's not the price.
Oh, no.
It's how
getting a lot of
if you're
activity
getting a lot of
and no
activity,
offers, it is the price.
you know, that's how it's presented.
Exactly.
It's how it's presented. So we tell people, if you're getting a lot of activity, you would be crazy to mark it down. I mean, other than that's the only thing you can get them to do. But the reality is, like, and Margie did that. Margie, in that little house in Ferndale, that had been on the market since midsummer. Because I went and gave them a proposal midsummer for staging it
The one that we just did?
in Ferndale.
Wow. Okay.
And they didn't stage it. We staged it. She had an open house that weekend. She relaunched it, and she got full asking. She told the seller, investor, she said, he was ready to mark it down 10,000. She said, no. She said, because I can get this price. I said, but we need to stage it. So she ponied up and paid for the staging, because he said he had a cash flow issue, and then he's reimbursing her for the staging and closing. But she made more commission on it, because she sold it for a higher price.
Probably very profitable.
Plus, now she has a guy who's going to think she's the hero, because he was willing to walk away from $10,000 when it was a $1,500 investment. So that's, you know, you want to be the hero for your people. So there's lots of, every house is different, every house needs a little something to put them over the top, and what are they gonna remember? And this is the other thing I always tell our sellers, is every house gets a label.
Yeah.
What label is yours gonna have? Is it gonna be the cluttered, crazy child's room area, or that's not where that, the crazy rooster house? Because that lady in Macomb Township had 10 million roosters.
Oh, 10 million, wow.
I mean,
Right, I know.
it seemed like 10 million to me. I'm like the minimalist
They were
anymore. When I
multiplying.
see so much stuff, even in my own house, I have hardly anything anymore because I can't take it anymore. But so every house gets a label. What is it going to be? And like things like one of the things that's one of my pet peeves too, and this is the perfect word to describe it. And people say, they really personalize their houses, right, when they live in them. So they paint their son's room is this color, and then the nursery is this color, and their master bedroom is this color, and then the living room, da-da. I said, and for a minute, you walk into a house, and for me, the experience is, well, it's just like interesting, but it feels like a Crayola box. People are not crazy. They know how much it costs to bring in a painter and to paint a 3,000 square foot house. It's going to be $10,000 to get a decent painter to paint it, because who's going to come and just paint the walls? They're going to paint the trim, the doors, the ceiling. They're going to do it right. If you're moving in, you're going to do it right. But if you're painting it for staging and for selling, you might be able to come in and just paint that one red wall. Paint it to match these other walls. And if you've done a really crappy job with the paint, it's cheaper to put crown molding than it is to repaint the room.
It's true. That's
Right? My painter also has a trick. What he does sometimes when we have a wacky line like that with the paint job, he'll paint the wall, but then now the ceiling has that little bit of red on it because they did it themselves, because they got, some cousin painted it for them, or they did it on a weekend. Is to run a bead of white caulk. So as stagers, we know all these tricks. Because we've done over 1,200 houses. We lose count.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
So I'm gonna ask a quiz because I have a book here. I'm gonna give a free prize. So who can tell me these numbers? I want to see who was listening when we were talking about stats.
Oh, I shouldn't have been texting.
Okay, let's see.
Tandy's up for the contest. You see her? She's starting to wobble.
Okay, let's see. Let's go to what NAR says, because that's the most. Huh?
I was gone. I went to the restroom.
Me too.
So, we'll do two of them. So you get a second chance. So what is the percentage of realtors that say that home staging has a positive effect on the sale of a house?
95% total was 95 or 90, yeah, because it was 96.
97.
No, I wasn't.
96.
Ah, who said 96?
I did. But I was guessing. Just guess.
And she's not even.
I'm not even a realtor, so give it to somebody else. Yeah.
So we're gonna, all right, but she said 95.
Closest.
So what this is this is our marketing book, and it gives you some of the things that are on the website, but you can take it with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so what is the website? What's that big number? That return on investment number from Home Gain? What was that?
3,000+%.
What?
No.
44,000
something and something. 4,000.
You're pretty close. I'm gonna give it to you. It was 597.
Oh, that's good.
So
500.
597% return on investment. So you get one too.
Boy, thank you.
So, and if you guys want to, I sell those. I just try to recoup my costs on them. Actually, I don't even recoup my costs on them. They cost me about $35 a piece. So if people want to purchase them, I sell them for $20 a piece.
Okay.
So, and the hardcover one lasts for a long time.
Yeah.
So you can use it for years.
Okay.
Again, keep the staging statistics. I mean, you should have like a whole package in your listing presentation that talks about preparing for sale. And it's a twofold conversation. It's A, so that you can eventually get more for it, but B is to make sure that those pictures look great.
Right.
Because without staging, the pictures are gonna look like crap.
Can you send us any of the stats in a packet that they could?
Yeah, what we will do is, my assistant, we have everybody's information, and also there's some little cards in the back you guys can grab for your listing presentations as well. There's old stats on that because we haven't updated that, but it's all relative. I mean, it's all kind of the same.
Well, just a silver package, just out of curiosity.
$17.49.
Okay, that's good.
And that's gonna be a mixture of newer furniture, and we're staging so many houses, we don't have hardly anything old left anymore.
So the silver package, they said the bronze was living room, dining room, one.
No, they're all the same.
Oh, they're all the same, okay.
They are all the same.
Just
It's
the
the
difference in the
quality of the
furniture.
decor and the, the age of the decor, and then also scale. Like this little smaller chairs are gonna go in our bronze package. Like we have some chairs that have like nail head trim that look really expensive. Those are gonna go in the gold package. We have some nicer middle of the road chairs. Those are gonna go in the silver package. So it's an overall look, feeling, scale. I'd like to say it's older, but even our silver stuff right now, there's a lot of new things. But, if I have the choice of a $300 chair, it's gonna go in the gold, where the $150 chair is gonna go in the silver. It all looks good. And we do a lot of houses that are $700,000 and $800,000 if we put the silver furniture package in that. A lot of times it's the scale of the rooms then we just put a couple extra vignettes in and we charge extra for that.
So the pickup service is when you pick up the furniture, the old furniture, and you take it to a storage place? Is that what you mean by pickup service?
No, the pickup service is when we stage a vacant home and then it sells, then we have to come back and pick it up.
Oh, okay. So what about when you do have a occupied home? Do you take furniture from the home and,
On occasion.
Oh, okay. But
I mean, that's like one of those.
You don't do that.
No, we do it, we have.
That's what, Corinne told us.
Yeah, we did do that for that job, and we did that a couple weeks ago for a house in Birmingham. A lot of times, that's why every one of these occupied houses is very, very custom, because sometimes people don't want to pay us for that.
Right.
They have a couple cousins, or they have somebody, so when we do that consultation, we will often tag this stuff that we want to go away.
I see. And then they get rid of it.
And then they get rid of it.
Okay.
And then if they don't get rid of it, when we come with our team, then we handle what's left.
Oh.
So, and we try to store it on site because A, it's a time issue. We don't want to be on the road in traffic and sitting at a storage locker or something like that if we don't have to. And I would say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, we can find some place in the house to store something so that it's not distracting from the value of the home.
What about the stuff that was stored in that living room, kitchen, where you put all that stuff? In the picture.
Where you had the dining room that you made
Yeah.
in the
Oh, they
sunroom?
got rid of all of it.
Oh.
Wow.
They got rid of all that. Actually, they had a storage locker. They actually rented a 400 square foot, it was a 10 by 40. So they had a 400 square foot storage locker that they could not even fill one more box in when they were done. That's how much stuff we took out of the house. You didn't see the living room before on that one, which was very interesting. We've got to find that one. It had no sofa in it. It had 4 desks, chairs on top of each other. This was a family that, like I said, 4 children. And the wife was stay-at-home, but she was homeschooling the youngest. I think there were only 3 kids, but they were high school age. The father had just turned 50 years old, and he had decided to go back to medical school at the age of 40.
Good for him.
So when I met them, they were in the process of selling that house so that they could move to Texas, because that's where he was finally finishing his residency, and they were moving on. So that living room was just like homeschooling, schoolwork, dad's desk. I mean, it was crazy, like desk central. Everybody had a desk in that house. And that's what that room was used for, But I said, well, you can't sell a house that way. And then we still needed a desk because he still had things to work on. So instead of using the dining room there, we created one corner that was office space, and then reclaimed a big chunk of it as a living space. So that house, and that was when the market was horrible, you know, they without that investment, they would have just taken a bath in that house. And they gave us a $28,000 budget. And we did miracles. Yeah, it needed 55.
Oh.
But they had angels looking after him because I was a referral from a prior client of mine, and he took me aside and he said if they were short money, he said just let them go.
Oh, that's nice.
You
He
said
said-
$28,000?
Huh?
You said $28,000?
Yeah, but it was like kitchen countertops, new floor, new
Oh,
carpet,
okay.
paint throughout.
Okay.
Yeah, the windows in
How
that.
much was the house worth?
I think it ended up selling like for 160.